Stroke from the university's boat race is proudly brought to you by Mutual and Federal, protecting what's important to you since 1831.
The Eastern Cape town of Port Alfred in the Nhlamba municipality once again welcomed the country's leading universities and their men's and women's rowing crews for the Mutual and Federal Universities boat race. The Kowie River flows out onto the Indian Ocean, and it's over the last 6 kilometres of the river that the boat race takes place. This is the 2011 Mutual and Federal Universities boat race. A beautiful spring day in Port Alfred for one of the most important events on the rowing calendar.
We're down here for the 32nd running of the university's boat race in Port Alfred on the beautiful Kowie River. As usual, we've been made to feel very welcome by the local residents here in Port Alfred and the local municipality, just taking care of us over this weekend as 9 universities from across the country come down to race on the Kowie. So on the water this afternoon we have the finals of the men's A and women's A boat races, both being contested between the University of Johannesburg and Tuks. Big thank you to Mutual and Federal. This is our 11th year with Mutual and Federal, and what a fantastic relationship we have with Mutual and Federal, who send a lot of their executives down to spend the weekend with us and enjoy a day's racing here on the river.
We've been sponsoring the boat races now for 11 years, and every year the event just seems to get better and better. There's a lot of camaraderie, a lot of fun at the event, but behind the camaraderie and fun there's a lot of teamwork and collaboration by very dedicated students to be able to get where they are today. And an organisation like ours that's been around for 187 years, teamwork and collaboration is something that really needs to keep a company going. So we associate with it very well, and we hope to be sponsoring it for a long time to come.
The men's crews will row a 6-kilometre course starting at Rabbit Rocks with 3 key turns at Centenary Park, which is where the 4K women's race starts, the left-hander at Briley's Bog, followed by the right-hander at the Wreck before the Old and New Bridge, and then the finish at the Port Alfred River and Ski Boat Club. A time trial known in rowing as a heads race on Thursday determined the pairings for Saturday's finals, and we pick up the action in the women's A cruise and the race for 7th and 8th places between Stellenbosch University, stroked by Stephanie Bosman, and the University of KwaZulu-Natal, stroked by Emma Osler. And it was the Marty's crew who made the better of the starts out of Centenary Park. University of KZN working hard, but Stellenbosch University were pulling all the way to the finish. Neither of the two universities had managed to win the ISIS Blade in the past 23 years. The Maritzburg campus of the University of KZN won the Novices Trophy in 2009, but today in the race for 7th and 8th, they were comprehensively beaten by Stellenbosch University. The same two institutions battled it out for 7th and 8th among the men's A crews. Lindsay Hunting stroked the Marty's 8, while 23-year-old LLB student Gareth Ragg stroked for the University of KZN, whose distinctive hairstyle made them stand out on the river. However, it was the Martys who made the outstanding start. Under the direction of their cox Rebecca van Hasteen, they slipped ahead of the Greenheads. Going to be a long pull for University of KZN. The Martys looked in good form and opened up a tidy lead on the Bells Reach sector. They were able to consolidate that position throughout. Eventually pushing through, they claimed a well-deserved 7th place at the boat race. The women's A crews once again in the race for 5th and 6th places. This was close to midday and the wind had got up, making for choppier waters. The crews of Wits University and Nelson Mandela Metropolitan University went head-to-head over the 4 kilometres. Wits was stroked by 22-year-old BSc Chemical Engineering student Ruth Aldert, whilst NMMU had 20-year-old BA Psychology student Amanda Rocha in the stroke seat. The immense effort etched on the faces of the rowers from Port Elizabeth. Urged on by Cox Jeans Barkley, the wind and choppy water made things tough for the NMMU crew. But ultimately it was the Wits University's race as they crossed the line to claim 5th place in the women's A regatta at the Mutual and Federal University's boat race. The NMMU men's A crew were next on the water, and once again the race for 5th and 6th place, a tussle against the Wits men's A8. tension at the start. And then they were away. NMMU stroked by 23-year-old B.Ed student Benjamin Ekron. And Wits stroked by 23-year-old law student Michael Marshall. In the number 5 seat for Wits was Steve Matuszek, who'd finished 8th with UCT's Marcus Crowther at the recent World Under-23 Championship. He was also a member of the World Championship 8. Working very well together were NMMU, but Wits were gaining ground. Great onboard action from our boat camp. Wits have won the Cambridge Rudder 7 times since winning the inaugural event back in 1980. And they started to come back strongly. This was a titanic battle between two high-class crews. NMMU enjoying the advantage of the East Bank as they headed towards the corner. The umpire's boat watching carefully for any clashes. They were neck, but as they went through the Bay of Biscay, it was NMMU who started to gain ground under the bridge, and NMMU surged towards the finish. But back came Wits. What a race! This for 5th and 6th place. It was going down to the line. NMMU just edging ahead of Wits University. Two crews putting their absolute all on the line here, showing the quality of the racing at the Mutual and Federal University's boat race as NMMU finally pushed for home to take 5th place in the boat race. Great action. Each of the universities sent 2 crews to Port Alfred, with the second string, known as the B crews, battling it out for honours in the B races. And the final of the women's B race pitted the 3-time B regatta winners and hosts Rhodes University against Pretoria University. Tuckies were stroked by Zoe Kettle, whilst Rhodes was stroked by social science student Courtney de Barros. In recent years, Tuckies have developed into the preeminent rowing university, with their men's and women's crews winning both the A finals in Port Alfred a year ago. So it was of little surprise to see the powerful Tucks women's B crew moving to the front in the B final. Rhodes have a long history and tradition in the sport, and they were not going to go down without a fight. And they gave their absolute all to try and stay with the Pretoria students. Certainly enjoy the bulk of the support from the banks. This, after all, was their home regatta. But approaching the finish, it was that Pretoria University confirmed their prowess with an impressive win. Credit to Rhodes, though many had thought the margin would be far greater, but it was closer than expected. Part of the festivities of the boat race was a race between the past students of UCT and a combined crew made up of the alumni from UJ and Wits. Both boats showed good form and rhythm, with many of the rowers still very active in the sport at the very highest level. It was a tight race all the way down, again showing the quality of rowers produced in this country by the top universities. To the final of the men's B regatta, and here again Rhodes had performed well in the head races to find themselves up against the University of Johannesburg. The Rhodes 8 was made up of rowers from 9 different schools and was stroked by Tristan Wentworth, a 20-year-old BSc student. UJ was stroked by the remarkable Gavin Kilpatrick, a 29-year-old sports communications student, and included 3 rowers each who cut their teeth in the boats of Parktown Boys High and Jeppe Boys High. Kilpatrick is partially sighted and won a bronze medal in cycling at the 2008 Paralympics in Beijing. Urged on by their huge support for the bank, it was Rhodes University who prevailed in the B regatta, surprisingly by quite a large margin over the crew from the University of Johannesburg. And the expectant crowd would have more to cheer as Rhodes were in the race for 3rd place in the women's A regatta. Their opposition, the University of Cape Town, where 20-year-old former St. Stithians pupil Kim Jocelyn is their stroke. Kim studying a BSc in environmental science. UCT showing a little bit better form early on. In the Rhodes crew, 21-year-old BCom student Michelle Smith was one of 2 former Clarendon High School pupils. They also had a Zimbabwean Roseanne Thornycroft, an ideology master's student in the number 5 seed. At 26, Roseanne, the oldest rower in the race. It was close for the first kilometre. UCT on the West Bank looking very impressive under the guidance of Cox Caitlin Croney. The engine room of the boat from seats 3 to 7 was made up of a quartet of former St Mary's Waverley pupils in Abby and Jamie Davidson, Catherine Stark and Sarah Bishop. They were providing plenty of power as UCT moved ahead. Rhodes working hard under the guidance of Cox Kirsty McQuain, doing all she could to get a little more out of her crew. But not quite enough, because it was UCT, well-drilled and disciplined, who took the race. Third place, they're getting closer to the overall winner's spot, which they won in 91 and 2001. The bronze medal race in the men's A regatta was again a clash between UCT and Rhodes. The host club's top boat was coxed by Mike Moyer and stroked by Kevin Aitchison, a 24-year-old enterprise management student. UCT stroked by 22-year-old Vince de Munich, a mechanical engineering student. He was one of 5 former Sachs boys in the boat. One of those 5 was Marcus Crowther, who competed at the World Under-23 Champs earlier in the year. The boats were moving closer and closer to one another, and then the inevitable, a clash of blades. The umpire's boat watching very, very carefully, and then the restart after the clash. And Rhodes showing good form, but again they were getting very, very close to one another. Rhodes appealing, Mike Moyer's arm going up. Urging his men on, they were able to get clean water ahead of UCT. Again, Moyer's arm goes up. But his crew showing the power and moving ahead and out of trouble. Cox Gordon Dodge driving his UCT men on towards the finish. But Rhodes were working very, very rhythmically now. UCT had to put in a huge go for home if they were to make an impression on Rhodes. The Rhodes crew could no doubt hear the supporters on the bank up at the finish in Port Alfred, drawing them closer to the second of the bridges. For UCT, it was going to be second place. For Rhodes University, a bronze medal, a really terrific contest between 2 highly motivated crews. The bank going wild for Rhodes. They would take third place at the Mutual and Federal Universities boat race in 2011. Fourth place for UCT. The toss for the start position in the women's A final between Tuckies and UJ.
We've just won the toss. We chose the East Bank, and we chose it so that we can get the advantage of the 2 first corners. If we had won the toss, I would have chosen the East Bank, but it doesn't really make a difference. You just race to the first corner and see how it goes.
The Tuckies coach was in confident mood.
We've had a really good run-up this week into the regatta. No injuries, everything's been going well, boat's going as fast as it possibly can. We've got a really tough race today. UJ are the favourites, definitely. They're the national champions, and we're just going to do our best to try to push them as hard as we can today.
Now let's meet the Tuckies crew in the stroke seat, Imogen Mackey. Kate Johnston rode in the World Under-23 Championships. She's in seat number 7. Leanne Peirce is in the 6th seat. In the 5 seat, Carmen Lamading. And next in the 4 seat, Rochelle van Coller. Also in the engine room, Amy Johnson. She occupies the number 3 seat. Claire Batchelor sits in the number 2 seat. And Claudia Gebhardt is in the number 1 seat. The Tux Cox is Carrie Lynn Reynolds. And the squad is coached by Alan Noy.
I think we've got a good chance in the final. I think it's going to be a very tough race. We're up against a very polished Tux crew, but I think the University of Johannesburg ladies have really put in a lot of hard work and will be very well prepared for this race today.
Well, let's get to meet the UJ crew. The stroke is Kirsten McCann, a 22-year-old BSc student. Former Rand Park High School pupil Nadine Smith is 24 and in the 7th seat. Kate Christovitz is a member of the South African team at the Under-23 World Championships in the 6th seat. Senior rower in the crew, 28-year-old BA Applied Logistics honour student Katrine Potgieter in the 5th seat. Cynthia Sandstrom from Northcliffe High rose in the number 4 seat. Zimbabwean Machine Thornycroft is in the number 3 seat. 20-year-old sports psychology student Samantha Hewitt sits in the number 2 seat. And Vanessa Callegro is in the bow seat. And we met 23-year-old Tiffany Rolando, who is the cox of the UJ crew. And they're coached by Ryan Thompson. Now let's watch the final of the women's A race through the eyes of Chairman of the Boat Race Trustees, Sean Kerr.
So up at the start of the women's 2011 boat race, the final being raced over 4.2 kilometers. UJ in the black and orange, Tux closest to us in the white, red and yellow. Good start here from UJ. Just getting their bow out in front of the Tux crew, UJ the defending champions. What a great shot here from the helicopter. UJ have taken 1 length in the early stages of this race. Tux doing really well this year to make the final. A developing club here on the ladies' side, and what a good showing they have had in the 2011 event. So UJ just showing their dominance early on. Some of the individuals in the UJ boat having represented South Africa at the Under-23 World Championships held in July, with Nadine Smith sitting at number 7 in the UJ boat, having just represented South Africa at the World Rowing Championships in Bled in Slovenia. Nadine Smith and her partner rowed in the coxless pair and have qualified a boat for the Olympic Games next year in London. As we see them go around the first of the 2 corners in the ladies' course, UJ quite clearly ahead and are able just to sit up on Tux at the moment and respond to any challenges that they may give them. We see the 2 crews here in the Bay of Biscay just approaching the final corner in the ladies' course. UJ very powerful as they come around into this last corner, commonly known as the shipwreck bend to those on the water. We see the bright orange supporters of UJ just urging their crew along. They know that they are close to the finish. Very slick, polished crew here from UJ. Very tight steering from the cox. Steering a very good course this afternoon, has young Tiffany as they go through the first bridge. UJ know now that they are very close to that finish line and to their 2nd gold medal. UJ, the defending champions from 2010. As they approach the finish, we see Tux not giving up at all, very close over this long distance. 5 strokes to go as UJ come under the 2nd bridge, and it is just about over. And UJ go through the line to take their 2nd gold medal in 2 years. It is UJ, and what elation as they cross the line. It's been a long, hard winter for them, and just as hard a winter for Tux, but Tux doing really well here to make the final this afternoon. They can be proud of their performance.
Feeling really good. I think it's been a very long season, and the girls have really put in a lot of hard work to get to where they were, and I think they came off today really well at the start, and that's what we're looking for, and set up for a lot of the race. So I think I had a really good row. It was really long and did exactly what we were looking for, so that's 100%.
To the men's A final, and first off the toss to choose which bank the boats would set off from. And Tux were victorious there.
We chose the West Bank because we get the first corner and the best line for the ladies' corner.
We lost the toss, unfortunately. I would have preferred to get the West Bank as it gives you a tighter line coming into the first corner, but we get the advantage coming in from the east side to the ladies' corner, so hopefully we can hold on to them and get into that turn.
They've put in a lot of hard work through the season, lots of guys coming out of different crews to be here, and they've just got to go and execute now what they've worked so hard for this season. The conditions are always tough on the Kowie, but I think the boys have the skill to handle it, Anya.
Let's meet a very experienced Taki screw the stroke is international Lawrence and Ndlovu. In the 7th seat, John Smith. Under 23 international Lawrence Britton, formerly of Parktown Boys High, in the 6th seat. And another international, David Hunt, in the number 5 seat. full of high-class rowers, Gareth Mabry takes the number 4 seat. A big occasion for James Nevin, up from the B crew. He takes the number 3 seat. Lawrence's brother Matthew Britton is in the number 2 seat. And in the bow seat is James Thompson. Cox Carolyn Reynolds is looking to make amends after losing out in the women's A final with Tuckies. And Carolyn Smith is the Tuckies coach. Their opposition in the final, University of Johannesburg.
We've had a slightly checkered builder, and we're very, very pleased that they've made it through. But we're really up against some tough opposition with the Tux crew from Pretoria. They've got about 5 national squad members in there who've just come back from a world championship. So yeah, we've got a mountain to climb today, but we're not going to make it easy for them.
Let's meet the UJ crew in the stroke seat. 23-year-old Lloyd Bemelman. 18-year-old Scott Donaldson, the youngest man in the race, is in the 7 seat. At 6 is 26-year-old Shane Reynolds, a product of Grey High in PE. Gary Fortmanis is 21 and he's from that great rowing production line at St Benedict's College in Johannesburg. An entrepreneur in training, 20-year-old Jeff Knowles in the number 4 seat. And in the number 3 seat, a local man from Port Alfred High, Ati Klekani. A big day for the 21-year-old. In the number 2 seat is another St Benedict's man, 21-year-old sports management student Brian Watson. And in the bow seat, 24-year-old honours student Michael Sellier. The cox is Bianca Crankshaw. And the coach, Graham Cook. The race for the coveted Cambridge rudder between UJ and the winner of the last 2 boat races, Tuckies. Let's rejoin Sean Kerr.
And you saw on the left-hand side of your screen the umpire attention go. And it is the final of the men's race this year between UJ and Pretoria, a repeat of the women's race. Just have a look at the intensity of these 2 crews as they come off the start. These 2 crews rating around 42 strokes a minute as they start to find their rhythm for this 5.8 kilometer race. Very slick and powerful crew from Tux in the white and red strip. Great onboard shot here as we go on board with Tux. The cox just having a look around to see where they are, urging her crew along. Already telling her crew they are 1 length up. But just have a look at the timing, have a look at the crispness of this crew. Very powerful crew here from Tux. Very neat and together from UJ. Just not quite having the power on the day to take on the mighty crew from Tux. The Tux crew consisting of many representatives of the current South African senior and under-23 squad. David Hunt and Lawrence Britton having represented South Africa at the under-23 World Championships, winning a silver medal in the coxless pair. Going around the first corner, so this is the corner that we saw the ladies start at a little earlier, and already Tux have quite a considerable lead over UJ. Back on board here with UJ, the stroke Lloyd Benwell just looking over his shoulder to see where they are. Conditions very good here on the Kowie River down in Port Alfred. About halfway through the race already, and Tux just powering away stroke for stroke. Good support here on the banks as they come up to the final corner. A considerable lead here for Tux. Very, very competent crew from Tux this year. Just have a look at that shot from the back. Perfect timing as they go around that corner. We see the considerable lead Tux have over UJ as UJ come around the final corner, with Tux in the final straight starting to take it up and go for home. So the traditional go for home where the crews start to take up the rate, the cox can see the finish line. Tux then defending their title from last year. Not quite UJ's day today, but here we see Tux coming up to the line, powering away. 3 strokes to go to the line. They know they've made it. The cocks can already start celebrating, and there we go. As they cross the line, celebration from the Tux crew. What a great performance. UJ, not quite there on the day.
I think the boys were very, very smart about how they raced this. Made sure that they gave UJ nothing on the start and got out there and made the job as easy as they could.
It's a taste of champagne once again for Tuckies as they make it a hat-trick of Cambridge rudders in winning the Mutual and Federal boat race and the traditional swim for the cocks in the Kowie River. That's one she'll enjoy. A final look at the standings illustrates Tuckies' dominance. They won by 59 seconds from UJ, Rhodes taking 3rd place ahead of UCT. And a celebration on the podium for the women's crew of UJ as they collect the ISIS bridge for the first time since 2004 and the 4th time overall. Their winning margin in the final over Tuckies just 16 seconds. UCT and Rhodes taking 3rd and 4th places. Another wonderful weekend of fun and serious rowing on the Kowie River comes to an end. Until the Mutual and Federal boat race next year, it's goodbye from Port Alfred.
Every proud moment from the university's boat race was brought to you by Mutual and